of this so-called referendum is a license not only to break the law, but to crumble it to bits. A license to violate. I want to assure members of the public and to ask members of the public to rely only on official releases from the government of Guyana, to rely only on official releases from the Guyana Defense Force and official releases from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. There has been continuous engagement with foreign ministers in the region and outside of the region at the level of the Guyana Defense Force. So there is absolutely no space we are leaving in relation to the seriousness through which we are treating this matter. We have no interest in engaging in any conflict. Our primary focus is to ensure that this region remains a region of peace. That is why we are pursuing this matter relentlessly through diplomacy at every level. I believe strongly that there is no fear that should be driven in the Guyanese people or in our psyche at this moment. What Venezuela seeks by way of this so-called referendum is a license not only to break the law, but to crumble it to bits. A license to violate.
Look at the breathtaking beauty of the Essequibo, from its pristine rivers to its abundant resources. It's a treasure that belongs to Guyana, and we ask Venezuela to respect the rule of international law.
Our commitment to this land is not just about ownership. It's about preserving its beauty and resources for our people and future generations.
The controversy between Guyana and Venezuela was settled internationally as full, perfect, and final in 1899. Essequibo belongs to Guyana.
Right here tonight. Hello, David. Christopher, now back to school as a hit.
Look at the breathtaking beauty of the Essequibo, from its pristine rivers to its abundant resources. It's a treasure that belongs to Guyana, and we ask Venezuela to respect the rule of international law.
Our commitment to this land is not just about ownership. It's about preserving its beauty and resources for our people and future generations.
The controversy between Guyana and Venezuela was settled internationally as full, perfect, and final in 1899. Essequibo belongs to Guyana.
Tot yet.
Essequibo, daytime or night, they will be criticized. This is all.
I pledge myself to always be part of Guyana, and to be loyal to my country, to be obedient to the laws of Guyana, to love my fellow citizens, and to dedicate my energies towards the happiness and prosperity of Guyana.
We love the open country of the Rupanuni and the Essequibo, daytime or night, though we be criticized, this is our home, we love it, and we mean to keep it, we have that right. No, we ain't giving up no mountain, and we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river, that belong to we, not one blue saki, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass, not one golden apple, not one jamon, not a drop of water.
Look at the breathtaking beauty of the Essequibo, from its pristine rivers to its abundant resources. It's a treasure that belongs to Guyana, and we ask Venezuela to respect the rule of international law.
Our commitment to this land is not just about ownership. It's about preserving its beauty and resources for our people and future generations.
The controversy between Guyana and Venezuela was settled internationally as full, perfect, and final in 1899. Essequibo belongs to Guyana.
All right, good evening, everyone. We are going to start in just about 5 minutes. So we had some requests of some persons that are joining right now. So in 5 minutes, we're going to start. All right. So thank you so much for joining with us.
And looking like an early stage of pregnancy. Jen, what is a food baby? It's your food baby, yes.
This is my country, Guyana.
It is 83,000 square miles and made up of 3 counties: Berbice, Demerara, and Essequibo.
Essequibo is the largest county
and rich in many natural resources.
Venezuela is claiming Essequibo.
Venezuela knows that the border controversy with Guyana was settled.
Yet it continues to claim Essequibo. Venezuela must keep its hands off Essequibo.
All of it belongs to Guyana and all Guyanese.
Our motherland today must be that for our future.
For we are the future. Essequibo is ours!
This is my country, Guyana.
It is 83,000 square miles and made up of 3 counties: Berbice, Demerara, and Essequibo. Essequibo is the largest county
and rich in many natural resources.
Venezuela is claiming Essequibo.
Venezuela knows that the border controversy with Guyana was settled.
Yet it continues to claim Essequibo. Venezuela must keep its hands off Essequibo. All of it belongs to Guyana and all Guyanese.
Our motherland today must be that for our future.
For we are the future. Essequibo is ours!
Best foot forward tonight, and in the remainder of time they have this season, and then there's plenty of time to sort out the rest. But tonight they got the Vikings.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So we are going to make a start right now. Pleasant good evening to everyone. My name is Rosalinda Rasul. I am the head of the Diaspora unit here at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation that's based in Georgetown, Guyana. I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for taking time off from your busy schedule to join us in the first of a series of webinars or / virtual meetings that'll be taking place during the course of this week, starting from tonight, being the first one, and it will end on Friday, the 1st of December. Now, it is very important that we have these sessions with members of our diaspora because of the extent of misinformation that is circulating out there as it regards to the Guyana-Venezuela controversy. And you'll notice I use the word controversy because that is what it is for Guyana. We consider that this matter was settled a long time ago. And it is important that we share this information from official sources on updates and what is next. The Diaspora unit has engaged our Guyanese across the globe over the past several weeks on various issues. And what we've realized that has keep coming up are a lot of questions as it relates to the dispute. And to our surprise, there were even elements of expressed fear within members of our diaspora. So we decided that in keeping with the theme and what's happening in country at this point in time, and if you're following a lot of the reports coming out from mainstream media and social media from official sources, you'll see quite a lot of activities that are slated for the duration of this week, going all up to the 3rd of December. And each day is something new, where Guyanese here in the homeland and of course in other parts of the world are expressing their solidarity with our country as we stand in this controversy against someone or a nation that is unfairly making claims on our sovereign territory. Tonight we have two senior officials of the government. As a matter of fact, we have two ministers of government who are no stranger to any one of you here tonight. And we will be hearing from them updates and feedback on the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy. And again, like I said, most importantly, this is coming from official sources. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want to encourage you to listen carefully to the discussions that'll be coming out from the two ministers who I'll introduce to you shortly. And I can assure you that we'll have a section for question and answer. Just a little bit of housekeeping rules here as the speakers come on and they make their presentations. We are going to ask for your kind cooperation in ensuring that your microphones are muted. Sometimes, unfortunately, we get some feedback, and we want to make sure that we don't have any sort of disruption to the and distractions to any of our speakers. So please, we're imploring all of you to mute your microphones. And should you have to move about for any particular reason, it will do well also for you to also take off your camera, so that way it doesn't create any sort of distraction, or we're not privy to maybe things that we really should not be seeing. And so those are some of the housekeeping rules. Again, when we get down to the Q&A section, we will give you some guidelines on that, most particularly that there's a raise hand feature on the Zoom call that you can use, so that we will see all those persons who are interested in making a contribution or asking a question, and we will call you accordingly to do so. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the privilege is mine tonight in this first series on discussion as it relates to the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy. I'd like to introduce to you a minister who is very hard at work as it relates to developing Guyana's healthcare sector. And this minister has been on the ground. He's been working with a lot of people from the grassroots level. So he has quite an extensive knowledge, not just in the area of healthcare, but also in what's happening as it relates to the sentiments of communities and people as it relates to the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to introduce to you tonight no other than the Minister of Health, the Honorable Dr. Frank Anthony.
Thank you very much, Rosalinda, and good night to everyone who's on the call. I think, I want to start by perhaps saying, or maybe going back and giving a little bit of a background to this controversy. Before 1899, then you had an arbitral award that was done in 1899. And after that arbitral award, the borders were settled, the western borders were settled. And it took us another 5 years between 1900 and 1905, where there was a big border commission between British Guyana and Venezuela. And they actually took 5 years to be able to demarcate the borders in accordance with the 1899 agreement. And having done so, from 1899 until 1962, Venezuela accepted the western border as the final settlement. And there are lots of reports, there are lots of published maps in which they have agreed that this is the border. But as Guyana was approaching independence, Venezuela started changing their attitude, and they wanted to revisit this whole issue of the border. But the Treaty of Washington, which was signed in 1887, made it very explicit that when you go to the arbitral award, whatever was decided would be the full, perfect, and final settlement, and that there was no room for any other negotiations after that award was made. Nevertheless, from 1962 onwards, Venezuela started to try to undo this process. And as we approach independence, one of the things that the British feared was when Guyana gained independence, that Venezuela might want to invade. And so we decided that we'll have what was then called the Geneva Agreement, not nullifying the 1899 arbitral award, but just trying to satisfy Venezuela in the sense that they can go and peruse all the documents that the British held, and the British were able to go and look at their archives to see whether there was any new evidence. And of course, there was none. But we have been embroiled in this Venezuela-contrived controversy from since the 60s. So the UN, they had several processes. First, we had a mixed commission for about 4 years, after which there was a moratorium for about 12 years. And then we had a UN Good Officers process. And from that Good Officers process, which lasted for about 28 years, we decided that this thing is going nowhere. And therefore, we wanted the ICJ to make a ruling on this so that we can move on. And that's what we have done. We've taken the matter to the ICJ, and the ICJ is going to rule on the matter. Our case is extremely strong, based on the facts, based on the evidence that we have put forward, and based on the Treaty of Washington, that the arbitral award should not be questioned. So we are very confident with the case that we have before the ICJ. It seems, however, that the Venezuelans don't want this process to go ahead. And so they've been looking at various means of trying to undermine the process. The first being that when we took the matter to the ICJ, they were saying that the court did not have jurisdiction. Of course, we know that the court have actually made a ruling that they do have jurisdiction, and they're proceeding to hear the matter. Having failed in that regard, the next contrived position is that they have this thing that on the 3rd of December, they're going to have a referendum. And in the referendum, they're asking people to vote whether the arbitral award of 1899 is valid. And also they want to give citizenship to the people living in the Essequibo. Well, we have taken this matter to the ICJ, and we expect that they will be ruling shortly on the matter. So that's in a nutshell what has been happening. And we feel very confident with our case. Guyana has always, we have no desire to fight with anybody. We want to use international law. We want to use international instruments that are available to us to make sure that we can resolve these things peacefully. But while we pursue this peaceful path, we are not going to make people take their eyes and pass us either. So that's where we are with the matter.
All right. Thank you very much, Minister, for those remarks. And we will now call on the Honorable Minister of Legal Affairs and Attorney General, Mr. Anil Nandalal, to give his remarks. Mr. Nandalal? These are theirs yet. Let me just find him amongst the host, the many screens that I'm seeing on my screen. One moment, please. All right, he is coming on there now. Unfortunately, he's on travel duties. He's currently out of the country and joining us in just about 1 minute. So please bear with us for 1 moment. In the meantime, that the Honorable Attorney General is joining, we would like to get some information on all of you that is on the call. That will help us to keep your contact details and to provide updates to you, and also to share with you upcoming events from the Diaspora Unit and helpful information that you will find useful from time to time. So I would like to encourage all of you that's on this call to go into the chat box and to enter your name, a number, preferably a WhatsApp number that we can contact you on, and an email address so that we will store you in our database and will share critical information with you as time goes on. Thank you. All right, we're just waiting on Mr. Nandalal. All right, so Minister is joining. He indicated to me that he was having some internet issues in his hotel room. As I mentioned, he's on travel duties actually, and will be heading to The Hague as well for this matter that it's been called up. So just bear with him for just a few more moments. He's trying desperate to get logged on. And when it comes to the Q&A section, we will give you opportunities to voice your questions or your concerns or remarks. We will give you that time to do so. And for some persons who may be shy and may not want to probably speak on the call, you're also free to type your questions in the chat box. So we can take either questions from the chat box or for those who want to address the ministers directly. And this is going to go off script a little bit just as we wait for the AG to get stable connection in the country. Minister Anthony, I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but do you think you have a few minutes to answer any questions on healthcare outside of the border issue until we get the full presentation from the AG, and then we will proceed? I don't want to preempt any questions on the border controversy until we get the full presentation from the AG. Do you have a few minutes on that?
Let's go.
Okay, great. So whilst we wait on the Attorney General to come, if any of you have any questions, and it's not like it's a little detour on the healthcare sector and what's going on there in the interim, the minister will graciously answer some of that question until we get Mr. Nandalal on the call. You can use the raise hand feature. All right, so we've got Mr. James Burke. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, Minister. How are you doing, Frank? Question question about the number of public versus private hospitals that are under construction right now in Guyana.
So that's a very good question. We have in the public sector, we are doing about 13 new hospitals. And we have a number of private entities that are also have indicated that they want to construct. So maybe at least about 4 new hospitals in the private sector.
Thank you. Are they all located in Georgetown or Region 4, or are they spread all over?
No, well, with the public ones, we are spreading them all over. We have 3 that would be in Region 4. One at Diamond, one at Ogle, which is a referral hospital, mother-to-child hospital. And we have one at Enmore. In Region 5, we have one at Bath. In Region 6, we have Skeldon. And we have one at New Amsterdam, a New Amsterdam hospital. In Region 3, we have one at Dekendron. In Region 2, we have one at Lima, or next to Anna Regina. And in Region 1, we have one at Maruka. We're doing back the Bartica Hospital. We have another hospital that we're doing at Cato, one at Camarang, and one at Lethem. So these are the public sector hospitals.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any other question for Minister Anthony? Minister, in the meantime, maybe you can give us the diaspora a little bit of an insight as to how do you see some of their critical skills playing a role in the development and progress of Guyana's healthcare sector in light of so many developments that's taking place within that sector?
Well, I don't want to turn the meeting into a health meeting.
I know. Once we're still waiting on AG to come on.
I think everybody came here with the expectation that they would talk about the border, but I see a minister online right now.
Oh,
so
he is.
He can let him speak, and then we'll take.
Okay, no problem at all. Let me see. It's there. Mr. Nandalal, are you there?
You hear me?
Yes, we are. There you are.
My profound and most sincere apologies. At the last moment, I had some internet difficulties at the hotel here, and I had to call security and technical people. Anyhow, we are on. You're hearing me loud and clear.
Yes, we are, and we're seeing you as well, so you're good.
All right, so again, I apologize. So where are we in the program? Sorry.
So Minister Anthony gave a summary of the history of the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy. So perhaps you may want to take it from there if there's anything you want to add on the history, and take it from that point.
So I don't want to cover the ground already traversed by Frank. I know Frank has an admirable and very adept knowledge of the historical narrative of this matter. So we are now at the court where we are seeking what is called some interim measures not to prevent the referendum from taking place, as offensive as we consider that it is, but to ask the court to make certain remedial orders that would keep, despite the toxic and offensive language in which the referendum is crafted, it can have serious consequences if actions are taken based upon it. So while Venezuela is free to conduct and execute a referendum in its sovereign territory in accordance with its internal procedures, because Maduro went and he got a court order giving this referendum and it questions some internal legitimacy. So we are not interfering with that. All we are saying is that you cannot take actions upon this referendum that will interfere with our territorial integrity. That's the first thing. And second, that you can't take actions on this referendum that will affect our pending proceedings in the court. And we are saying to the court, look, court, you are seized of this matter. You have already ruled that you have jurisdiction in this matter because your jurisdiction was questioned separately. And here it is, a party that is before you, over whom you exercise jurisdiction, is taking steps not only again to question your jurisdiction, as one of the questions in the referendum seeks to do, but is taking steps that can undermine, subvert, and defeat the very litigation that is before you, and render the process with which you are seized otious and nugatory. And in those circumstances, any court of law has a jurisdiction, a power, and in my respectful view, a duty to take remedial actions to protect the party before it that is affected or likely to be affected, as well as to protect its own process and the integrity of the proceedings that are before it. So that is what we have approached the court for. We have received notification, as expected, that a decision on our application will be handed down Friday at 3 p.m. Needless to say, we anxiously await this decision. The truth of the matter, though, as you would have gathered from what Dr. Anthony has said and what we have been saying in recent times and what is historically known, is that the case, rather the allegation of Venezuela, is incredulous, is incredible, and lacks credibility. I think those three words would aptly sum up its impact and effect. It cannot withstand the scrutiny. It has never withstood scrutiny. They have never produced, when asked, the evidence, because in its current form, their allegation suffers many legal deficiencies. One, the maker of the allegation was never available for cross-examination. Now, anytime a statement is made by any person and it has to go into a court of law, the person against whose interest that statement is made or directed must be able, as a matter of natural justice, to be able to examine, question, interrogate, not only the statement, but the maker of the statement regarding the facts, circumstances, and basis upon which that statement is made. That facility was never available to Guyana. The main party that will suffer or is impugned or affected by this statement. Never. Simply because the maker of the statement, in his testimonial papers, decreed that the letter or the affidavit or memorandum which he wrote in relation to this matter and which forms the basis of Venezuela's case must not be opened in that envelope in which it was in after he dies. So he created the basis for non-questioning of the report. And then when you look at the people whose integrity he is implicating, the problem is compounded. The integrity of the persons whom he was implicating are the Chief Justice at the time of the United Kingdom, another very high judicial functionary of the United Kingdom, and these were judges nominated by the Privy Council of England. These are judges of the highest judicial pedigree and integrity, and an international outstanding jurist from Russia. And this was a young guy who was essentially described in the reports as the bag carrier of the lawyers involved in the case. So he was not even one of the leading lawyers. He was a young lawyer fetching the briefcases to the court. So it did not come from anybody of substance, and it implicated the integrity of persons whose integrity was considered beyond reproach at the time and up to now. No other allegation of any type has ever been made against these men. And this guy is making it. And that is why, even when Frank would have spoken about after the Geneva Agreement was concluded, they had, even before the Geneva Agreement was concluded, from 1962, when the allegation was first made, to 1966, prior to the Geneva Agreement, UK and the State Department spent an enormous amount of time in trying to understand this allegation and trying to elicit and solicit from Venezuela the evidence, apart from this bland and bald declaration, what other corroborative evidence it has. And when for about 4 years, a team was established to interrogate this matter. And it came up empty-handed. All Venezuela had was that piece of paper and nothing else. When they went, pursuant to the Geneva Agreement, when they went to the Mixed Commission, they were unable to present anything at all. And that is why, perhaps, they agree that they will put the matter down for a while. And everyone thought that, well, it was finished. And then lo and behold, in the 80s, this bogeyman was resuscitated. And we are where we are today. And that formed the basis of their objection to the jurisdiction of the court. Because what are they going to tell that court? What are they going to produce to that court? On what they say. So the entire claim, as I said, is based upon this document. This document is either one, hearsay in law, and any first-year law student would know that, or secondly, assuming that the world court is lax and they're dealing with countries and you have greater evidential latitude, if it is admissible, it has very little probative value. What does it prove? How can that singular declaration from a man made by himself without any evidence essentially rip apart and render nugatory and fraudulent and null and void an entire arbitral award and a treaty? This arbitral award did not fall out of the sky. This arbitral award came out of the Treaty of Washington that Venezuela, United Kingdom, and, well, United Kingdom and Venezuela entered into to devise the mechanism of an arbitration to conclude this matter. And both parties signed in the agreement itself, that is the Washington Agreement, that they will be bound by that arbitration. And in the arbitration agreement, they agreed that they will be bound by it. Now, I have had the opportunity of looking at the evidence in this arbitration, the actual written record. It was at my office at the AG Chambers when I was there during my last tenure. And when I discovered what it was, I immediately sent it over to Foreign Affairs Ministry. you're talking about thousands of pages of written testimony lasting for years, volumes and volumes of legal submissions. 5 of the top jurists in the world and the lawyers involved were some of the leading legal lights and luminaries of that period. Those were the people involved in this matter. And all of that Venezuela wants the world to believe must be tossed aside because of one 2x4 unknown bag-carrying lawyer who makes a one-page statement and says it must not be questioned or read until he dies. You understand how difficult and ridiculous it is for them to articulate this in a court of law? So that is why their first line of attack, not defense, though they are the defense in the case, was to attack the court's jurisdiction. And the court says, listen to me, first of all, you are a member of the United Nations. By virtue of being a member of the United Nations, ipso facto, you are, by the Charter, Charter 32, automatically subject to the jurisdiction of the court. Point number one. Point number two, by that Geneva Agreement that Frank would have spoken about, you have agreed that you are submitting this entire process to the hands of the UN Secretary General to find a resolution if the procedures outlined in the Geneva Agreement fails. The procedure outlined in the Geneva Agreement fails. Guyana went back to the Geneva Agreement, went back to the United Nations Secretary General and said, look, Mr. SG, Venezuela and we have agreed that we are going to deposit this thing in your bosom for you to sagaciously decide a path of resolution. So Venezuela gave the SG that power and signed on to it. So when the SG chose, naturally, the principal arm of the principal judicial arm of the United Nations, no one should have been surprised. That was where it was going. And Venezuela must know that. And that is why their objection to jurisdiction was thrown out. And if you notice, Venezuela took a delegation in these proceedings, in this particular aspect of the proceedings, numbering about 28 of the top professors of law and legal minds in the world. They had them in that room when we were hearing this application. And not one of them, none of the top lawyers spoke. Delcy Rodriguez, the vice president of Venezuela, spoke. A gentleman whom I understand is a politician, he concluded. And one lawyer spoke, a gentleman named Bengi, who I am told is a lawyer who is one of those lawyers who will say anything to a court. The point I am making, the Harvard professor was there, a Cambridge professor was there, professors of high ranking, 15 lawyers with doctorates in law were sitting there. None of them stood up to speak. Why? Because I believe, and I am surmising here only, I don't know the people's story, I believe that they refused to articulate to that court what their client's instruction was. And Mrs. Rodriguez had to do it herself. And that's what she did, to tell the court to abuse down a political speech, a speech designed to further rile up the people of Venezuela in this vacuous claim, and to appeal on patriotic sentiments. You know what they say about patriotism, right? It is the last refuge of this scoundrel. So this is what is being, instead of law and instead of legal reasoning and argument, we are being bombarded with political and emotional rhetoric. And that is what has been coming from Venezuela, one ridiculous contention after another. And that is why, Rosalinda, Guyana has no difficulty in winning solidarity and support on this issue across the globe. Because we are on the side of justice, we are on the side of the rule of law, we are on the side of international diplomacy, we are on the side of international law. We have not committed a singular error. So it is easy to support us. And you have to be in the league of a rogue nation to support what Venezuela is advocating and what it is proceeding to do. And that's why, so far as I know, only one country, Nicaragua, has come out in support of Venezuela, whilst we have almost the entire Western Hemisphere, if not the entire Western Hemisphere, on our side. If I may even go back before, because I was, you're speaking about these matters regularly now, so there are things that we should really put out there too. When I considered, and I'm a student of history like Dr. Frank Anthony, more importantly, I'm a student of legal history. Spanish never had a presence in Essequibo, either before Venezuela, during Spain, reign, and even after. The recorded history of Essequibo is that it was under the control of the Dutch. You would recall Fort Island is where the Dutch court of policy was. Kuykoverall is Dutch. Pomeroon is Dutch. Cuyuni is Dutch. Mazaruni is Dutch. At what point in time did Venezuela occupy? So if you go even behind the arbitral award, their claim is one that has no basis. As when I did my own research, and that's how the constitutional history of Guyana evolved, as written by Dr. Mohammed Shahabuddin. It was always Dutch. Essequibo was there before Venezuela became Venezuela. There was a big mass of land called Gran Colombia, comprising of Panama, Bogota, Colombia, and what is now some parts of what is now Venezuela. And Essequibo had extended to the Orinoco Basin. And that is what was British Guyana at the time when this claim was made. And that is why Venezuela, Frank would have explained, they won the arbitration. They celebrated their victory because they got a piece of land that was 300 and something thousand square miles, 3 times the size of our 83,000 square miles, 4 times the size rather. That's the size of the Orinoco Basin. And they won that. That was arguably Essequibo and under Dutch colonialship. So the claim is spurious and ridiculous and completely false and baseless from the beginning. And then it came on. When Columbus came here, he didn't come here in the name of Spain. They refused to finance him. He came here with the flagship or the flag of Portugal. He came from Lisbon because Spain didn't believe that the world was well, they had their own, you know the whole history. They didn't finance him. So wherever Columbus came, it was a different influence. But that's a whole different matter altogether. I'm going so deep so that people can understand, your viewers can understand, that there is absolutely not an iota of basis upon which Venezuela can hinge its claim. And therefore, and that's why it is Maduro's back is against the wall. He has no claim that he can prosecute internationally, at international fora, at a court, or intelligently. He can't articulate it. He has an election that he has serious problem. He has a country that is disintegrating. 7 million Venezuelans are on the move, have left the country already. About 350,000 of them have entered the United States unlawfully, well, without papers. I look at the statistics the other day. In 1 month, 75,000 Venezuelans entered across the Mexican border into the United States. So that is why this conflation of factors, I believe, as an amalgam, is what is driving President Maduro in the direction that he's going. Pure desperation and completely in violation of international norms, international practices, international law, and the international rule of law. Not to mention his own agreements that he is violating. The weird thing about it is that Maduro is relying on the very agreement that we are relying on. He's relying on the Geneva Agreement. So, and that is the other bizarre nature of this claim. Now, Rosalinda, when an allegation is made that a document is fraudulent, and that's their allegation, or a process is fraudulent, what that means in law is that it's a nullity. It has no validity whatsoever. So their contention is that the arbitral award was a nullity. It's fraudulent. It's unlawful. Well, if that is so, then everything that came from it is also illegal and unlawful. But Venezuela wants to keep what it got under the arbitral award. For not one moment yet have we heard Venezuela saying that, you know what, we will give back the Orinoco Basin because we are contending that the award is unlawful and illegal. But they want what Guyana got from the award. So the award apparently is legal insofar as they benefited from the award, but suddenly is unlawful and a nullity as it relates to only Guyana, what Guyana got from it. So even that simple argument of theirs, if you pull it out and you examine it, you will see it will collapse because it has no rationality and it's not supported by any principle. If a process is a nullity and a document is a nullity, it is infected absolutely by that germ of a nullity. Half of it can be a nullity and half be legal. And that is in essence what they are saying. So I don't know if there is anything that I have omitted to touch on at this preliminary stage, but coupled with what Frank would have said, and I didn't hear him, but I'm sure that he would have covered the historical narrative very, very well, as I know that he has a great expanse of knowledge on it. And I just wanted to tie up these at the other end of the spectrum to bring your viewers up to speed. So with your permission, unless you want me at this point in time to address any specific matter, I will say that permit me to stop here and hand over the program to you, and then we can decide how we move forward.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Minister. That was very informative indeed, and I'm quite sure that the audience here would have found it there. Minister, just quickly, if you can just look at your phone very quickly there for some information. Also, just to update you, your internet is staggering a little bit, and don't worry, we're hearing you loud and clear. We're seeing you just that it's coming in a little bit of a staggered format, but that's okay. Don't worry, I know how it is when you travel and how the internet connection can be, and we're still extremely grateful to you being here and addressing.
So are you seeing me at the center of the screen there?
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
I think you've gone back to normal. So that's probably good. It probably needed your touch there basically to get back to normalcy. So at this point in time, we're going to open the floor up for any question and any comments that anyone would like to make. As I've mentioned earlier, if you'd like to ask any of the ministers any question or make a comment, please use the raise hand feature that's on the call on the Zoom here. And for those who may not want to speak, you can utilize the chat box. I've already seen a question or two in the chat box, so we will read those questions out. But first, we'll take those who would have raised their hands. So we'll start with the first question from our audience by the name of Fendel Etwaru. Please proceed to ask your question.
Hi, good evening, all.
Good evening.
First of all, let me thank the honorable ministers for facilitating this session. I have two questions for any one of the ministers to answer. Now, given the current tension exhibited by segments of the population of a possible invasion and annex of the Essequibo, would your administration consider the launching of any campaign to secure our borders and demonstrate this publicly on social media, perhaps, to palliate the minds of the population and give them some form of reassurance that their lives and property are secured? That's the first question. The second question is, what measures is your administration taking to manage the refugee issue we are facing currently? Is there a strategic plan that was or is being developed to process and integrate the Venezuelan refugees in Guyana and those that perhaps will embark on future journeys to the country? I ask this question because we haven't observed any public announcement or any tangible action taken to address this issue so far. And God knows we won't want a Crimea situation on our hands in the future. So those are the two questions that I have.
All right, thank you very much for those questions. Any one of the ministers would like to proceed with the answer?
You want to start, Frank?
I think as it regards the first question, we have taken a lot of measures. We have gone out to the communities along the border. We have been talking to people, and I think people feel reassured by the actions that the government is taking. So one is that there's a public education, but as I said when I spoke, that apart from public education, we have been working with a number of allies. And if we need to defend ourselves, then those mechanisms have been put in place. We hope, and that is what we are pursuing, a peaceful resolution to this matter. And that is why we have gone to the courts. And as you heard the Attorney General, our case is a very sturdy one. Theirs is very flimsy. And it's based on a dead man's letter. So we have all confidence that once the court had the time to deliberate, that the outcome would be in our favor. And so we have been talking to the population in these areas, and I think they have been, so far, I think they feel reassured by the actions that we are taking. For obvious reasons, we can't tell you all the things that we are doing, but there are a number of measures in place. In terms of people coming across as refugees, there are between maybe 7 to 9 million persons who have run away from Venezuela because of Maduro's rule. And they've been going to all countries around Venezuela and even further afield. In Guyana, we have had a number of persons who came across the border, and we have been working with them. In some cases, people are crossing because they need medical help. They can't get medicines in Venezuela. In some cases, they can't get food in Venezuela. And therefore, when they come across, we assist them. And we have a mechanism in terms of processing them and making sure that we know who they are.
So if I may add quickly to the last, beginning with the last question, or where Frank left off. So it's Trevor, I think the gentleman's name.
Fendel.
Fendel.
So Fendel, migration is a very complex issue and is one of the new challenges the globe is facing. It's not a new phenomenon, as from the beginning of time, people have been moving, inspired by the search for a better life and for greener pastures. Guyana is no different. You know, once you're a Guyanese, that you have families in at least 2 countries. So we are a migratory population. We should understand the push and pull factor of migration. Millions are migrating from Venezuela, and perhaps Guyana is one of the countries that may be least affected by Venezuelan migrants. Trinidad is run over. The Caribbean is overwhelmed. At the level of the CARICOM, it's one of the biggest challenges being discussed. Migration from Venezuela and Haiti. So that's a regional phenomenon, and as I explained, what's happening in America. So you have people, first of all, despite all of that, there is a belief that we still have more Guyanese in Venezuela living who migrated there during the bad days than there are Venezuelans in Guyana. So there's one thing that we must remember. Secondly, we have done the statistics, and more than 80%, and that's the government's estimate, more than 80% of the persons who have crossed the border from Venezuela are actually Guyanese returning home and returning with their children and their husbands or wives. So that takes care of about 80%. So these are people who are lawfully entitled to be in Guyana. They are not, you use the term refugee, which is a term that you should not use unless the situation fits a refugee status. The refugee is now a term of art. It's not a mere adjectival description. So you have that phenomenon of Guyanese and their children and spouses coming over. So you have a legitimate right there to recognize. Then you have international law now governing migrants, and migrants is the more appropriate term to use. And we are relying on international law, and we are relying on international organizations to support our cause now. It is definitely the wrong time to offend international law or to offend international organizations. In particular, on the question of human rights of the Venezuelans. Because somehow or the other, that will be connected to the border and connected to the cause. And then you would know that a desperate regime will act upon anything. And the last thing that we want in Guyana is to present them with a trigger. And that is why Madame Delcy Rodriguez at the International Court of Justice openly, though in error, accused Guyana of xenophobia against Venezuelans, a complete and utter falsehood. So they are looking for triggers, and they are looking specifically for an inflammatory type situation to present itself to them so that they can come over to rescue Venezuelans and use that as the basis for the incursion. And we don't want to present them that opportunity. What we have seen so far is that the Venezuelans who are in Guyana have behaved peacefully. They have not been a threat, as far as I am aware, or as far as the legal system is aware. And I am positioned in a particular place to know if these things happen. So it is not an issue. But on a more general question or the more general query of yours, Guyana recognizes that we need a modern and responsible migration policy. We have recognized that, and we are working on that as a government. I am part of a subcommittee working on that, because as our fortunes get better as a country, we will attract more and more migrants. And this has nothing to do with Venezuela. This has to do with our migration policy, having regard to the newfound wealth. And we have to have a policy on that. The security issue, I believe that so far we have been successful in assuring the Guyanese, in particular the border communities, by our various initiatives, headed by His Excellency the President, who is also the Commander-in-Chief, that it is safe, and we will continue to make Guyana a safe place, that we have secured widespread assistance. We have powerful allies. You would have heard certain announcements about the presence of certain U.S. defense organizations and presence, military presence in the country. And we are not bringing them there to open any satellite base or any military base. We are bringing them there because we have a rogue government next door who wants to invade our country. And we have a right to seek protection and security for our people, for our border, and for our sovereignty. So I hear all kinds of ramblings that we are creating military bases for America. Absolute nonsense. We are a small country. Venezuela is a military might, and we are not in any way blinkered in the enormity of the battle if you're going to go to battle with Venezuela. We know that we need help. We are not in any form or fashion in doubt about that, and we will take whatever help we can get. We'll take help from Brazil, we'll take help from the United States, and we'll take help from every other country. And that's our unequivocal, unapologetic position. And the people of Guyana must continue to remain assured that their government is doing everything possible to ensure the safety of our country and the safety of our people.
Okay, thank you very much, ministers, for your questions. Before we go to Mr. Trevor Walterman for his question, I want to take this opportunity to recognize on this call Senator Roxanne Prasad. Thank you so much, Senator, for joining us on this call here. And I believe one of your assistants, if I got this correctly, your protocol officer here, Philip Fields, is on this call too. So thank you so much to both of you for joining. We'll now take a question from Mr. Trevor Walterman. And then we'll go to Mr. Lambert. We also have a few questions in the chat box, but we'll do with the questions that with the raised hand first. Mr. Waterman?
Yes, thank you, moderator. Good evening, all. First, I would like to thank the two ministers, Minister Frank Anthony and Minister Nandalal, for their presentation on the border issue. Following up on some of the question raised, we are aware that Russia used different scenarios in order to grab land from Ukraine. And what is happening, on my estimation, I see that Venezuela want to do the reverse of it. That is to do the referendum and then to grab land. So what is the implication after the referendum, after December 3rd? What are we going to do? What are our modus operandi in terms of, are we prepared for after the vote? Seeing that Russia used the reverse scenario.
I don't know that we should follow any playbook.
Okay.
We should prepare for any eventuality that unfolds. I don't know. Nobody knows.
Yes.
What will happen after the referendum. Hopefully something will happen Friday preceding the referendum. That is to say, the court will make a pronouncement that will have a positive impact on our status quo, putting us in a stronger position than we currently are, so that we will have at our disposal an additional artery in the form of the United Nations Security Council enforcement arm, because that's the enforcement arm of the state, of the ICJ. And if we have a court order now, or what in essence is in the form of a court order, and it is violated, we have a mechanism of enforcement from the most powerful legal institution in the world, the United Nations, its Security Council itself. So you have that in your favor and in your corner. But there is nothing that one can sit down here and tell you. We have to continue to live. We have done nothing wrong. This is our country, and we have to continue to live in our country. I don't know what else I can tell you.
Yeah, because
it's like if your neighbor claiming, all of a sudden your neighbor wake up one morning and decide he will take away over 3/4 of your land, your house and land. And, they're prepared to take over. What can you do other than prepare to defend yourself and continue with your life?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Waterman, any other question for you?
Well, yes, as I said before, yes, thank you, Mr. Minister. Yes, I am, assured, because everybody is asking in Guyana, well, in terms of preparation. When you ask somebody in Guyana, what are we gonna do? Like a given date, December 7th. They said, let us wait and see after the 3rd. So it's just everybody is scared. That date, that 3rd is just get everybody on a standstill. So being the government, we should at least know what to do. What are the next step, which I'm sure that you can say publicly, but just want to make sure that steps and measures are in place, just in case Venezuela decide to do like Russia, to follow that playbook.
Look, we are a religious people, and we are taught and we know that good shall always prevail over evil.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Waldman. I would really
Thank you
appreciate
very much.
also.
Yes.
Thank you for your question. Also, I would encourage you to put your contact details in the chat box so we can make contact with you afterwards as well. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Mr. Lambert, please proceed with your question, please.
Good evening, moderator.
Good
Good
evening.
evening, honorable ministers. My first question, I think the honorable minister, Anil Nandalal, has dig deep in some of my question, but one of my main question is, you don't have to answer it because of the forum. I hope we have a good security defense mechanism in terms of the technology part of it, because we already have the aliens in the country there, and we don't know what they has come and set up even before the referendum. This referendum is not like Maduro or whatever the other person has been campaigning in Caracas or other parts of Venezuela. We don't know. They probably have already sent aliens in our country, and they have set up different security mechanisms. So when that referendum, December the 3rd, they can shut down most telecommunication systems. Remember, Russia and Venezuela directly are actually what we as Guyanese term would say, they are friends. So they can use a defense mechanism, and on the 3rd, probably everything shut down, no communication. Do we have systems in place, plan B, to have a system up in eventualities of those stuff?
The gentleman said I must not answer it.
Yes,
Hello?
any one of the ministers? Yes, we can hear you. Any one of the ministers want to take that question?
No, I think he asked the question, he asked that we must answer it. I suppose for security reasons.
That's all right.
Yes, it's for a lot of security reasons.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lambert. We appreciate the concern as well as the question. All right. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the gentleman, but it says Samsung SM A136U1.
Mr. Rollins, this is Bernard. I'm saying that this is Bernard Rollins.
Sorry, we can't hear you clearly. Could you repeat yourself, please?
I'm saying this is Bernard Rollins.
Oh, hi, Mr. Rollins. Yes.
How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Please go ahead with your question.
Congratulations to keeping us congratulations and thanks for keeping us informed. Let me be quick about it. Minister Frank Anthony, I hope that you call me. I sent you a message. I have a delivery to make to Ithaca Health Center. Now, first, let me start with Minister Frank Anthony. It has to do with the last question, the individual
Mr. Rollins, we're having difficulties getting your question. Can we come back to you?
About it. I have spent a lot of time on the border. I worked in Lethem, and I covered 21,000 square miles of land. And I was there after the Rupununi invasion. There was quite a lot of Guyanese tribes who live in Venezuela. My question to
All right, I think we lost him there, but no doubt he'll come back there. We'll get that question, which I presume was going to Minister Anthony. So Mr. Rollins will join us. I'll have Mr. James Burke. Please proceed with your question, sir.
Thank you very much. And good evening again, Frank and
You're muted.
Okay. Good
There you
evening again. Sorry, I pressed the
Good
wrong
evening.
button. So I want to look beyond this current controversy and ask if there is a silver lining to be had. I've been told that, or when I listen to folks, they tell me that many large projects could not be undertaken in the Essequibo region because of this concern with Venezuela potential aggression. Do you foresee that after the dust settles, after we get this thing behind us, we can go full steam ahead in Essequibo in terms of development? Anybody could take that. Any one of you. Thanks.
So you want to take it, Frank, or you want me to answer? You said go ahead?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Venezuela's claim is so unreasonable. It is so out of the realm of reality that it is not even possible to sit at a table and discourse. Needless to say that we have done that for the last 40 years, and it has yielded no success. Their claim is absolutionist. 5/8 of Essequibo, 5/8 of Guyana. If we ever are to go to that table, we are only going there to concede something. And why should we? Why should we concede? When we are right, they have no claim. They have never had a claim. They have never had a presence on our lands. They already took a huge chunk. So the possibility of talks at the good office policy level, a number of offers and counter offers were made, all rejected. Because why? They wanted land. You may have heard the Vice President make reference recently. Well, it is a statement that has recently assumed controversial standing, but it is something that was floated around by the good office process in the late 80s by Guyana under Desmond Hoyt administration of offering a channel of free passage to Venezuela as some type of compromise. That was flatly rejected because Venezuela wants land. So, to come back to your question, we have to continue to get the international community to continue to stay involved and hope that diplomacy will resolve this matter. Now, as I've said elsewhere, we have had great relationship with Venezuela despite this thing hovering over us. I made reference to the good relations we have had with President Hugo Chavez, President Maduro himself, when he was recently elected, he visited us. We hosted him in Guyana. I was there, Frank Anthony was there. He had lunch with us at the State House. And that was just months ago. So the thing is that maybe it's not months ago, it's before, sorry. When I was 18 the last time, a couple of years ago. But we have had the Petro-Caribe agreement, which benefited both parties tremendously. Chavez is on record as saying that this border controversy is an imperialist ploy. He committed that Venezuela will place it on the back burner. I say all of that to say that we have had good relations despite this. And perhaps we can get some type of arrangement to put this thing into a state of dormancy for the time being, or over the next couple of years, as we had done for the entire 70s, or most of the 70s. So, other than that, it's anyone's guess, but we cannot continue to inhibit progress to our country. Right now, where the border claim is, the logical extension of that to the exclusive economic zone means that Venezuela is claiming all the oil blocks, including the Stabroek oil block. And as I have said elsewhere as well, this whole thing is inspired by the fact that we found oil. Because it is in 2015, after the commercial discoveries were made, that this thing assumed this overwhelming significance that it has assumed and has escalated to where it is now. So it's an economic issue driven by avarice on the part of Venezuela and bullyism. But I agree with you, we have to find a way of resolving it. I know, well, not that I know, but I have every confidence that we will have a ruling from the court that will resolve the matter. Whether Venezuela, and then we have to get Venezuela to accept that. Now, just permit me quickly to say that we are not asking the court to determine Venezuela Essequibo, or to give us an order in relation to Essequibo, you know. All we are asking the court is a couple of questions. Is the arbitral award of 1899 valid and binding? And does it not conclusively and comprehensively and finally settle the issue of the border and consequential questions? That's what we are asking. And Venezuela can't begin to question that. They can't begin to answer that. So that is where we have to stick with the position. And I mean, we are living in a civilized world governed by the international rule of law. If the world court has made a ruling, the world will determine what it will do to a rogue country whose conduct constitutes a challenge to the entire international legal order of the world. So that's where we'll have to place our hope. I don't think we will ever be a military might like Venezuela.
Bye-bye, Nanya. All right. Thank you so much, Minister. Appreciate the answer. I saw Mr. J's hands up, and then there was Peter. I don't know if Peter is still interested in this question. Mr. Lambert, I think your hand is still up, or is there another question? Because I want to just complete these here before we go quickly to some of the questions that's in the chat box. Mr. J, you can proceed with your question, please.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My question is, would this border issue with Venezuela, would it have any effect on the border issue with, or open up the border, or open up any question about Guyana-Brazil border?
I don't think so, because the tri-point junction has been agreed upon by the three countries.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Peter, do you still want to ask your question before I move to the chat box? You're muted. All right, so he was talking to Peter. You're muted, so if you want to unmute your phone, we can hear you. In the meantime, a question has been asked, says, undoubtedly, Guyana would have brought up this matter to the United Nations and the Organization of American States. What are the responses of the UN and OAS to date, and what level of support among UN and OAS member states?
Well, it is no matter how many times we say it, it's not being registered. We are at the ICJ under the auspices of the Secretary General of the United Nations. So, without saying a word, the United Nations is with us. It is this process is their process. So we have the United Nations General Assembly, and by extension, its membership on this matter. The OAS has issued one of the strongest worded statements on this matter. CARICOM has issued a very strong statement on this matter. All the leading countries, the European Union, has issued a statement on this matter. The ABC countries, the Commonwealth has issued a statement. That's 50 countries alone on this matter, all in support of Guyana. Of course, the US has issued several statements, Canada, etc.
Very well. Thank you so much, Minister Anthony. Is there anything you want to add on that?
No, I think the statements are quite explicit in support of Guyana. And as Anil pointed out, there are a number of them. The only country that we know of so far that has been supportive of Venezuela is Nicaragua. So basically the rest of the world is on our side. And I think most people want to see a peaceful process. And that process is one where you go to the courts and have the court deliberate upon the matter, and you get an award. And that's what we're pursuing.
Thank you very much. Peter, I see you're back there. You raised your hand. Please ask your question. And you're gonna have to unmute that microphone again.
Pleasant good evening, Rosalinda, honorable ministers. I'm not certain if it's Peter Pompey you're asking to speak.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Pompey. Go ahead, Mr. Pompey. There's another Peter, but I didn't realize Mr. Pompey, go ahead, and then we'll take Mr. Peter Kistu.
Pleasant good evening, honorable ministers and other members of the call. I think that the evening discussion is quite encouraging and good and very enlightening. And I must say that both ministers would have eloquently conveyed to us as Guyanese the confidence that we need in ourselves to be assured that we are on the right path. And I think that it's a quite helpful discussion, but I think sometimes things happen for good reasons. The historic education we're getting on this matter is really substantial. And I think going forward, when the matter is settled, we should still ensure that our Guyanese brothers and sisters understand the value of who we are. I mean, we know our value and how we should articulate this new approach across our country and across the world. But very good articulation by the Attorney General and the Minister of Health. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Pompey. Mr. Kistu, are you ready for us now?
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are. Go ahead.
Yes. I just, with this stuff running around with the VP, I wish the Minister Anil could just expand more on this maritime stuff that they're saying that the Vice President was trying to give away stuff to Venezuela. Could you just expand a little more on that maritime stuff?
All right. Thank you. So I just want to say to Peter Pompey that he has made a very important point, that we have to continue this high level of public awareness and education on this matter. Venezuela has been doing it for 50 years in their school curriculum. So the Venezuelan people are being asked to vote about something that was taught to them in their schools. So it's not a big transition. It's not even a transition. It's being asked to do something that you were taught is part of your country. And therefore to fight for it seemed like a good thing to the ordinary reasonable person. We have not done the same in Guyana in terms of the type of educational output we should have had. However, at one of the fora at which I spoke, the Minister of Education was moderating, and she committed right there and then when I made the call to, from now on, put into our syllabus, curriculum syllabus, this whole question of our Essequibo and and the border issues and matters in connection therewith. So it should now be in the future part of our educational curriculum syllabus and system. Mr. Kistu. So the good of, remember, under the Geneva Agreement, you had various processes outlined. One of those processes was the good officer policy process, where the Secretary General appointed, I believe, 3 good officers, and all of them failed to yield any form of success. Why? The first one that he appointed was Sir Alistair McIntyre, a former Vice Chancellor of the University of Guyana, West Indies, and a former Secretary General of CARICOM, a renowned academic in the region. He was appointed the first good officer. The good office mechanism was for the 2 parties to exchange proposals. You know, if you go to a mediation in a case, in an effort to settle, the both parties will explore the avenues of a settlement. And in the exchange of views, Guyana offered a rite of passage as a possibility to Venezuela. If they bit on it, if they expressed some interest, our representatives would have come back to their principals to say, look, I get a bite on this hook. I put out something there and there is some positive movement. We can work on something. It never went beyond that. And Mr. Jagdeo, in 2015, as opposition leader, was simply referring to that. He didn't have the documents with him. It is all in the core documents now, because Venezuela submitted that as part of their jurisdictional objection. So it is there for all to see. It came from the notes, the minutes of the meeting taken by Alistair McIntyre, the good officer. So Mr. Jagdeo was simply saying that, look, in the past, there was this channel. And he was talking about ways and means that we must explore all the avenues, which we have been doing all the time. In fact, Mr. Jagdeo was cautioning that we must not take any steps without the guidance of the United Nations and without the authority of the United Nations. Jack Day, when he speaks on this matter, is not an ordinary citizen. This is a former executive president of the country. He would have been briefed. This is the gentleman that took us to the Barbies issue, the quarantine issue, with Suriname to court and concluded it successfully in our favor. He's not someone who's unfamiliar with these issues of territorial integrity. So the man will not speak loosely. And that's why there's a controversy, because they're attributing to him a statement that he did not originally make. And in the recording that they are referring to, I have listened to the recording. The man said that there was a view expressed. He was not saying that is his view. He was saying that there was a view once expressed. That. Look back at the clipping and you will see. It's wrong to say that. And you know what is the implication of saying those things? Because this is the vice president of the country. Because at the time when they're alleging that he made a statement, he was the opposition leader. And because he's a former executive president, that statement or a statement of that type assumes different importance. It assumes different significance than if an ordinary man makes a statement. Those of us who are familiar with the quarantine border issue will know that one of the things that weighed heavily against us is because our then Foreign Affairs Minister, Fred Wills, made a particular statement in our parliament in which, in essence, what he said was interpreted as Guyana recognizing certain area of territory that it was not in our interest to recognize as being Suriname. The point I am making, when people speak on these matters and they speak loosely or falsely, they may have their narrow agenda to prosecute and persecute. But national interest sometimes falters as a result, as what happened with Suriname. And you can go back and check the record of what happened in Suriname, and you will understand what I'm speaking about. So I hope that I have explained fully the issue that you have asked me to address.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that question and for that answer. The last hand that I'm seeing up there is Mr. Hiralal, and after which we'll end off this session with 3 remaining questions, and that's in the chat box. And for all the others that are still on the call, I would encourage you to go to the chat box, because Minister Anthony has been engaged in some of the questions there and has been putting out some very useful information and facts that you'll find very helpful in your knowledge of the issues at hand. So again, you feel free to visit the chat box and you'll see some of those information being presented there. Mr. Hiralal, please go on with your question.
Thank you, moderator. First, I must thank the 2 ministers for taking time off tonight to inform the citizens of the persons of Guyana, Guyanese most likely, who are not there and probably wondering what's going on with the border controversy. As such, we all know that Venezuela would have gone against international law. And I'm pretty much scared. I'm a student over here, and I'm pretty much scared because my family is in Essequibo. And I hope that the government has measures in place to make me feel more relaxed, probably after December 3rd. So as we know, they would have went against international law. And we all know that once a law is broken, there are consequences. So is there any consequence for Venezuela if they go ahead with the referendum on December 3rd? And as of immediate effect, would the international court remand Venezuela, which would possibly cause them to not attack Guyana, which I hope they don't? Thank you.
Any one of the ministers want to give the young Mr. Hiralal any assurances?
Frank, you have not said anything for a while.
You're muted, Minister. There you go.
Go ahead, Anil.
So we have to keep repeating the same thing. Mr. Hiralal, I think I know your family. I know the Hiralal family are very popular in the Essequibo Coast.
Yeah.
One of your uncle, I believe, was an MP of the PPP. So we cannot predict what will happen. I mean, I've been asked this question so many times. I don't have a crystal ball, which I can look into and tell you what will happen on the 3rd and beyond. But we have outlined already what we are doing, what arrangements are being put in place, whose support we have. And that is where we have to leave the matter. I have also said that certain international consequences will flow from Venezuela's refusal, if it refuses, to comply with the court ruling, right? This is not an ordinary court. If you breach the order of a judge in Guyana, you are liable to go to prison. If you breach the order of the highest court of the legal infrastructure in the world, there must be consequences. All right? And as I said, we are living in a world where you have wars in the Middle East, wars and conflicts in Europe. We have wars and conflicts in Africa and in various parts. The one place that we have peace is in the Western Hemisphere. And I don't think that the international legal order and the international community will want what has historically been a zone of peace, for that tranquil peace to be shattered. Not on the basis here, not on Venezuela's case, because this is much ado about nothing. I can't imagine that the world will tolerate such a spurious claim to be acted upon. Because, I mean, just imagine for one moment the type of domino effect this can have across the globe, where people can wake up one morning and decide, you know what, I signed that convention, I went to that arbitral process, and I'm going to disregard it. Where will it end? If everyone is permitted to renounce and repudiate that which they have solemnly signed and executed, then the commercial world as we know it will collapse. The legal order of the world will collapse. You know how many border disputes there are on the current in the South America alone? We have Colombia and Ecuador, and all these countries are in the World Court. Tomorrow, if they decide to do like Venezuela and said, you know what, forget the court, I'm just going to take what I think is mine, then the entire South America will erupt. So I'm saying to you that I don't think the world at this stage will permit a conflagration of this event to take place. All right? So your family should remain vigilant, remain careful, listen to the news, and don't move into a state of panic. That's what I will say. To them and to
Thank you
all.
so much, Mr. Nandalo.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, just quickly, 2 quick questions from the chat box there before we bring this also to an end. And I think this is directed to the AG. With respect, says AG, with your optimism, when this matter is settled, will this be a final decision or will the case drag on? And following that, we have here, do you know if a press conference will be held after the decision from the ICJ?
I am aware that a press statement will be issued upon the conclusion of the hearing on Friday afternoon.
All right.
The press statement is normally vetted by the lawyers. And the other one is the same one, the mercurial question that I've been facing over the past month, which is, what is it again?
You know, will that be a final decision or will the case drag on?
No. Oh, no. Well, if the caller is referring to Friday's decision, it is not the final decision. It is simply a decision in relation to the application that we have made. And we made that application in November. Right? So that's for interim measures. The case, the substantive case, or the case on its merits will still continue to be pending in the court. We have filed our, what is called our memorial. Venezuela has been granted time to file theirs. As I speak now, they have not done so. And I don't know whether they will do so. But they are before the court and they are participating. They said that they would not have participated. They did with the jurisdiction point. Then they said that they would not, I didn't think that they would turn up to the interim hearing. They did, with a larger contingent than ours. No doubt they'll be there tomorrow, Friday. And they are part of the process, so we expect them to file their counter memorial, it is called. And then the court will invite arguments, and then we'll have the decision. Long story short, we have about 3 more years in the court. About 2 to 3 more years.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. And our final question for tonight is if Guyanese are returning, why are they crossing the border instead of using traditional ports of entry? And how is verification being done to determine their citizenship or they are who they say they are? Just to put it that way. That's our final question for tonight. Why are they using, why they're not using the traditional port of entry? And how do you determine they are who they say they are? Guyanese citizens.
Well, look, the people are using, these are poor. First of all, you got to understand these people, who they are, their economic station in life. These are not persons who have the wherewithal to come over with a plane to Cherry Jagan International Airport. And or to use the legitimate channel. These are people who are sailing over on some canoes. I have seen them myself. So they are crossing the border communities. How we know that they are Guyanese? Well, first of all, ethnically, you know, they have family here. They have their birth certificates and so on. So you know how they're Guyanese. You know that they're Guyanese. Venezuelans look different from Guyanese. Well, most of them.
All right. Thank you so much, Minister. Before we bring the curtains down, I just want to give the ministers a final opportunity to give some closing remarks. Minister Anthony, and then followed by Minister Nandalal, and then we will bring this session to an end.
Well, thank you very much, Rosalinda. I think it was a good interactive discussion. And as some of the persons who attended said, I think they got a lot of information, especially the historic context I think this is important as we move forward for people to understand the genesis of this controversy and the steps being taken to resolve it. And now we are in that final stage. So while there might be some anxiety and tension, the government is fully aware, and we are taking steps to make sure that we can alleviate that, and that in the current circumstances, we want people to stay calm and to ensure that they are not, how to put it, there are lots of fake news that is going around, and we shouldn't be consuming that type of fake news, because if we do, then we'll just have more apprehension about what is happening. The only way we can decide that is that we need to ensure that we are getting our news from the right sources. And once we do that, I'm sure that, you know, we would be able to get the right information to people so that whatever action is needed, they'll be able to take that. So as was said before, we'll continue to do these sessions to make sure that people fully understand it. And we hope that with the information that you get, that you also share that so that other persons can better understand the issue. We need to do this so that everybody is up to speed. So thank you very much, and thank you very much for having me.
All right, thank you so much, Minister. Minister Nandalal?
Thank you, Rosalinda, for organizing this engagement. And I want to thank all the participants who were interested enough to spend the last hour and a half with us. I hope that we have exchanged a volume of information that they find useful and they will make use of. Our government continues to do everything diplomatically, everything lawfully, and everything internationally possible to protect Guyana, its sovereignty, and its people. International law is on our side. The international legal system is on our side. International diplomacy is on our side. Justice is on our side. But in life, despite you are so right on so many different platforms, you are confronted with challenges. Guyana has had this bogeyman of a border controversy, because I don't even think it's a controversy. It's just a fabrication hovering over its head for the longest while. And perhaps one good thing will come out of its current escalation. And that is, the platform will be created for us to kill this bogeyman once and for all, so that we could rid ourselves. I was born in 1973, and my whole primary school days, you had this thing hovering over you. We had to put up things in the classroom. Our teachers, we had to sing that song. I used to know that song as a toddler out of my head. We are a peaceful people. Struggling, we struggle. We don't look for trouble. Just ask around. Now the song is popular again. My child now will grow up hearing this song and will have to confront this thing that I had. So this cycle must stop. And perhaps the current situation that elevates it to this high level may bring an end, may facilitate the opportunity to bring an end to it. One good thing that has come out of it is that we are at the World Court. And that is where it should have been a long time ago. Because after the conclusion of those proceedings and the decision would have emanated, that is it legally. They can't have a legal claim anymore. I don't know what they will call it after that. But they can't use the parlance and adjectival description of having a legal claim anymore. Right? That is, of course, if we are successful, and I have no doubt that we are going to be. So, out of the worst type of situation, sometimes there is good. And this good, I hope, will come out of what we are enduring. That is to say, it will create a platform. First of all, it has already caused us to be placed in the International Court of Justice, and that is the final best place for us to reside the matter. And secondly, it will create additional opportunities to conclusively bring this matter to an abrupt and final halt eventually.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much to Minister Anil Nandalal, the Attorney General, Minister of Legal Affairs, and Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, for a very insightful and helpful discussion this evening on the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy. I can assure you the information was well received, and it was very informative. And I know that everybody on the call would leave here more enlightened than when they first joined it. I want to thank everyone from the New York and New Jersey communities. Thank you for coming out in your numbers and supporting this. That is very indicative of how much do you value the information and what's going on here in Guyana. We value that too. That's why we were putting on these sessions. Tomorrow we have a similar session with the UK, the diaspora in the UK, and as well as the diaspora in Canada in the evening. So you will see, if you go to our Facebook page, Diaspora Unit, you'll see all of the information there, including a lot of information and press releases as it relates to the Guyana Venezuela border controversy. I just quickly want to echo the sentiments expressed by the minister in that we are appealing to the Guyanese diaspora. There are a lot of fake news that are out there, and they're coming from all sources on social media, which you know is an absolute Wild West. Please ensure that you check your sources very carefully. And that's why we played the initial videos earlier on before the speakers came on. You would have heard His Excellency, the President, talk about knowing your sources. It's very important because you don't want to have fear amongst yourself for your family back home here, or even in your travel arrangements. Basically, Guyana is completely safe, and we want to engage our diaspora and to keep you in the know, basically. And just quickly to add what young Hiralal had talked about in concerns for her family, I can assure you we live here as well, and I can tell you the government of Guyana is doing everything possible to ensure that all measures are in place to protect its people. But of course, you know, we live in a volatile world, so we can only do what we need to do in terms of using advocacy and diplomacy to the absolute best, appealing to the legal authorities, which is the World Court, for that solution, and working with our allies in this matter here, and trust God for favorable responses. So thank you so much for being on this call. If there are any further questions that you have on this matter, please feel free to reach out to the Diaspora. Our contact details are in the chat box. And for those of you who have not as yet put your information on the chat box, even after this call is ended, we're going to keep the lines open up here so you can continue to put that information there. Thank you so much once again. We really appreciate you being here. And God bless you. We look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to keeping you engaged ever so often. Thank you again. Thank you, Minister Anthony and Minister Nandalal. Have a good night, everybody. Take care. God bless.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.